Hey, we're talking about Minecraft and winter layering today. So we've been a while here since we've done a product review. I think we did some boot ones there last winter that were well received. People kind of like that stuff, and I've got a whole bunch of outdoor gear. And today we're going to go through the extreme cold weather clothing system from the U.S. military. I think ECWCS is the acronym you can use online to find this kind of stuff. I have several examples from the system that I can show you guys, starting with their base layer up to the final Primaloft warm layer. And I just wanted to have a little discussion about my thoughts on the stuff after I bought it and after I have some other things to compare it to, sort of what I think the quality and stuff is of this kind of gear. So I've got one of the layers on here that I'll come to. This is actually one of my favorite, but starting off with the base layer, layering is very important in cold weather. We get like minus 20 degree Celsius weather around here, sometimes even colder. And you want to be able to layer your clothes so that you can take things on and off, to regulate your body temperature, because not only do you want to be warm in the winter time, but if you're active, you don't want to be sweating. If you start to sweat in the winter time, then you can get really, really cold after that, right? When your layers get, wetted all underneath. And so you want to be able to mix and match as many different layers as you can, basically. And so that's what this layering system was designed on. This is what mountaineers and all that kind of, people into that stuff do. And so starting off, you want a base layer, and your base layer you want to have on is just a very thin, comfortable layer that allows sweat to wick away from your body. And the ones that the military came up with, these silk weight top like this here, long sleeve. And they've got pants. These were different color ones here that I ordered on eBay and stuff. Anyways, really lightweight. They pack down, really small. They're really comfortable. So really I don't have any complaints about them other than that they're a synthetic fiber or fabric. And personally, I think you're better off buying like a merino wool. This is an example of one here. You can't really probably tell anything on a camera as to what the difference is. But I think a thin merino wool base layer is probably a lot better to be using than the synthetic stuff, okay? And that's because wool will wick the sweat and stuff away from you, but even if it does get damp, it still retains some insulating value, whereas synthetic stuffs don't. And so anyways, and they make really nice, like fine merino wool base layers and stuff nowadays, so it's not like it's itchy stuff or whatever that it might have been years ago that you think of. This stuff's really nice, some of the base layers by Icebreaker and companies like that. So anyways, that's layer one, would be the silk weight ones. And again, I would say instead of going with the ECWCS, get yourself like a nice Icebreaker or merino wool type of layer. Now the layer two that they have is a waffle type of layer, which is just a thicker kind of base layer. That's an example of the pants there, I guess. And on the inside, you can see it's sort of a grid kind of thing. It's basically just a heavier weight type of base layer, and I think they make a top and a bottom. That's just the bottom that I happen to have. And for those, I would say they're great. I mean, really, with those on, this waffle layer and one layer above that of like windproof pants, you can go down into really, really cold temperatures. And so yeah, I would highly recommend their second layer as well. Not bad. Now the third layer that they have is a fleece top that the ECWCS layering system comes with. I have actually an example. If you want to pause for a second, I can get the Canadian military one that I could show. All right, my producer here is telling me that we only have so much time on the video, so I got to talk fast. And the light, I was telling Leo, is coming right in my lights. We got kind of a new lighting system going on here, and I find this hard to look at the camera with this light that's glaring back at me. But anyway, we're on to the third layer, is a fleece top. This is an example from the Canadian military. Awesome piece of gear. If you want to get something for probably pretty cheap. I think online the U.S. military version's probably only $30 or something like that. Also, the first two layers that I showed you, the silk weight and the waffle kind of layer after that, those are pretty cheap on eBay and places like that. You can find them. Personally, again, I think as your main insulating layer, this would be, and the one that you would primarily use through most conditions. I think you're better off getting a wool type of layer, a heavier wool fabric. than having fleece on. And there's a number of reasons for that. Even just sparks around a campfire will like just cinder this stuff, like it'll burn right through it, right? Whereas, you know, wool is fire retardant, and I think it's just a better insulator, especially if you get wet, and we have a lot of cold, wet conditions around here. But fleece is really cheap, so if you want to pick up one of those, it will keep you warm. The fourth layer is the wind jacket, which is what I have on here. These are an awesome layer. I think you are going to pay $60 or $70 for it, but it's completely windproof and it's really quiet. You don't hear any kind of like old nylon like from the 1990s where you'd hear the swish swish every time you move. This stuff is actually like a really nice, almost like a cotton it feels like on. It breathes really well, it seems, but yet it's windproof. So really, really awesome layer. It has zips here that are pockets as well as ventilation, so you can store some things in there. This one still has all like the military Velcro and weird stuff on it. There's pockets on the sleeves too, so the pockets aren't all that great in this thing, but it's not meant for that. This is just meant as a shell layer. So once you have your base layer on and then your fleece layer, say you would wear this as a shell layer over that to stop the wind, and now you're going down into pretty cold temperatures with this, especially if you're moving. You probably, this is all you'd wear if you're going even in -20 or Celsius or so, because you don't want to be sweating again, and so that's basically mostly what you'd wear. Now also this here folds down pretty small. Make sure we're in frame there, buddy.
Yeah, but since I'm left and White's back in the background.
He was working out back there.
Yeah, I had to go and leave the tripod there.
Yeah, so this packs down really small as well. Anyways, fantastic layer. The level 4 wind layer. Ooh. That's the main layer I would recommend out of the whole clothing system here. And then level 5 was a soft shell layer. I owned the pants and the jacket in this layer at one time, and I think I sold them both back on eBay. No good at all. They were really bulky, and I seen no point to them. I don't know why you'd wear one of those pieces over top of the fleece and the wind layer that we already had. It's so anyways, don't get level 5 out of the ECWCS system. It's garbage. Level 6 was the Gore-Tex layer, and the Gore-Tex layer was pretty good. I had the jacket. I wish I could show you guys, but it's on loan right now to a buddy. And anyways, that was a really nice layer. It's lightweight, it packs down small, it keeps you dry, but it does make a little bit of noise. It's not completely quiet, I didn't find, and it's also not fitted very well. You can find better stuff out there if you're into Gore-Tex, something like this here's a Swazi, and this thing's awesome. Leo's telling me, how many minutes are we in, buddy? 8, okay, we only got 2 minutes to go, so I gotta go fast. But if you want to get a Gore-Tex layer, suffice it to say, you can find better. This thing's crazy. But this made in New Zealand by a company there. You can find better than what the ECWCS system has. And we also have Ventile we're going to discuss some other day. I've got a couple pieces of Ventile cotton. Anyways, last layer was the layer 7 was the PrimaLoft layer. It came with a jacket that would go over all of your gear and pants. And there's no way you'll ever wear these pants unless you're in the Arctic. Like already with just your silk layer, like your base layer, and that waffle layer of layer 2 that I showed you, I would recommend you get something like this, a windproof Canadian military pants. These are awesome. Anyways, if you can find them, they're very hard to find, but that's a windproof layer. If you have that on your legs, along with those other 2 insulating layers, even in -20, -30, I doubt you'd ever need any more than that. So I think it's overkill to get that bottom layer of PrimaLoft. The top layer is pretty good, yeah, but I think that's probably overkill too. If you have a jacket like this that's already breaking the wind and stuff as a shell, and then you have a wool insulator under that, and then your base layers, you're going to be plenty warm, I think, for most conditions. Okay, so that's it. Are we on 10 minutes yet?
9 minutes and 32 seconds.
Okay, we got to say goodbye. Thank you, like and subscribe. We'll get into more detail on some of this stuff on another video.
Goodbye. Peace.